Well, Worlds groups are over. It's been a couple days, and I am joined right now by FlyQuest Tricia, Megumi Expert. You don't use that name anymore, I don't think.
I have been actually because we've been having people ask, "Is that Megumi Express?" So I was like, maybe we'll do a little throwback. We
Okay,
might bring
well,
Bear Cups back.
I'm glad to reference it again. Either way, this coverage is brought to you by Alienware. So, as I do my rounds talking to the different teams that are made it to Worlds but are no longer, unfortunately, competing at Worlds, you are next on my list to talk to from FlyQuest. So, how you been these last couple of days in terms of just the team and like sort of the next couple of days since the end of groups?
I've been super sleepy, but excited. All of us switch our schedule to China time, for example. And for me, that means I still have morning meetings early with Riot sometimes. So I'll go to bed at like 7 a.m., wake up at 9, take a little nap throughout the day, do all the work, and then prepare to watch Worlds. So
Yeah.
nothing but craziness in the best possible way and super excited. And ultimately, I'm just a fan of League. So Worlds is just an exciting time, and even more exciting since we have a team that made it to Worlds.
Yes. I should say we're recording this close to 7 o'clock in the evening because I think I woke up at 4 o'clock today, and I assume you were taking naps throughout the day as well with your schedule.
100%. I literally woke up for a 9:45
Yeah.
meeting and then did some work, crashed, and then woke up.
Well, I'm envious of you because I'm guessing you will not be staying up until 3 a.m. or starting at 3 a.m. when the games start for semifinals, quarterfinals. I'm sure you'll
No,
check
I
like the
still
VODs and
will.
stuff. Oh, you
I
will?
still will. Yes, that's why. Because I was like, even now we're out,
Yeah.
it's Worlds. You have to stay up. It's not the same to watch VODs. I don't want to look at Reddit and see some spoiler, so I'm
Yeah.
watching it live.
All right. Well, you'll be suffering along with the rest of us. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about FlyQuest. So, Worlds, you guys made it to groups. You went 3-3. Unfortunately, did not make it out of the group. But I will say, you guys had a very tough group, and a lot of fans, I think, were happy to see even just the team going even. So for you, I'm kind of curious, what were your expectations, and how much did the team either meet or exceed those, or I mean, yeah, what was sort of your world's experience from the FlyQuest perspective?
Honestly, from FlyQuest, as you know, we had World Quests out where we did a homage to Tree Quest and Sea Quest. We did everything for the trees and seas, a big campaign. Honest to goodness, we really believe that we could make it out groups. So our expectation going in was play our game. We know it would be really tough. Let's be honest, it was also the group of death, just like Group B. When we got the draw, everyone asked us, "Oh my God, how do you guys feel? You're in the group of death." We were doing Chinese solo queue. We were streaming that on YouTube. We were doing that live, watching our players' games. A lot of fans jumped in, and the whole chat, the question throughout every stream was, "How do you guys feel? How do you guys feel? Are you guys nervous because you drew Group B?" And every single time we answered, "We're confident." And it really wasn't just a PR answer. We really were. Like, we were excited to prove ourselves. I think we've been the underdog throughout this whole year, and so this meant so much, and we were really hoping to make it out of groups, and I hope that that showed, especially the second week. I think when we got our confidence, played our game, hopefully it showed everyone's potential, our potential.
So how
Sorry, it means so much. Like I really do believe, and all of our players, all of our staff believe we could have made it out of groups.
Yeah. Well, I'm really sorry then to hear that. To hear that, unfortunately, things did not live up to the hopes for the organization and for the players. Have you at least found some solace, I think, in the way that the community seems to have responded really positively to FlyQuest Run? Like, I know it does feel like the TSM 06 and the no teams out of groups has been a bit of an anchor for NA fans in terms of weighing down everyone's spirits, but it does feel like you and TL both fans were happy about. So I don't know if it's at least been nice for you to see sort of the support that the organization has gotten.
Support's always appreciated. We always feel great, and believe it or not, at least for me personally speaking, I read pretty much every comment. I go through all the Reddit threads. I'm there liking everything on Twitter. You can see, and any kind of positive reinforcement or support is never taken for granted here. So it's helped a lot. But I will say that at the same time that we've experienced support, I think we've also been our wins have been a bit downplayed, or our performance in groups as well. Because I know ultimately the goal is to make out of groups. Don't get me wrong. We went in there wanting to achieve that goal. And by no means are we like, yep, we did everything. We're the best because we went through everything. No, we wanted to make it out of groups. But at the same time, I think some of our wins have been downplayed eh, compared to the expectations of us going into this group.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it does feel as though the team, especially with the top game, exceeded at least the community expectations, even if they weren't unfortunately meeting the organization's expectations. So I hear you on that, where, hey, this team did pretty good compared to what the analysts expected. So, all right. So, can you talk to me a little bit about what the World's experience was like? I mean, you mentioned you were staying up all night. It seems like you guys had your support staff based out of LA. I mean, how was the org kind of supporting the team behind the scenes during their Worlds run?
This Worlds was it was difficult. I'm not going to say it any other way. There are a lot of limitations given visa issues, and we're in a first time situation, right? We have a global pandemic. It's COVID. So I will say, first and foremost, thank you so much to Riot for being an amazing partner and making sure that all of our players were able to go to China. We all had to receive a special visa, for example, to attend. And I'm really grateful, again, I think first and foremost, that all of our players were able to play. I can't imagine if our full roster wasn't able to play at Worlds. That would have been super devastating. So that's first and foremost. Unfortunately, not all of our staff were able to go, but I think we managed. We really did the best that we can given the situation. We in LA changed our schedule to China time. It wasn't just myself, but it was our whole business staff, our whole marketing staff, all of competitive who weren't able to go to China, did the best they could, logged into conference calls, try to be as part of this process in Worlds as much as possible. And a special thank you to Curry. In particular, Curry stepped up as our head coach. He was temporarily our head coach for Worlds, and we made sure, he was compensated for that. He just made all of the calls, and just a big thank you to Curry for being able to do that for us in China.
I do want to talk a little bit about the organization as a whole, but before I do
Yes.
that, I'm kind of curious. I talked to Steve about it, and I know that you are less involved in sort of the day-to-day competitive side, like why are these players picking this versus this. But I'm kind of curious, whenever you see threads like I referenced this in my interview with Steve too, all 10 LCS organizations and owners need to sit down and have a good hard look at what we're doing as a region and all that stuff. It seems like there is so often, but especially this year, a cry for LCS to figure out solutions to our performance issues. I mean, when you see that stuff, what do you think? And I don't know if there are plans for any kind of conversation between the different owners, or if this is something that's being discussed behind the scenes. But I'm kind of curious from your end what you think whenever you see those conversations pop up.
What a juicy question, Travis. To be as expected. So I have seen all of those comments, and I will say it's definitely super complicated and more nuanced than I think people give credit to, like especially to the teams. The one thing I will say, because it's just so much to cover, and I don't think I can really cover it in one answer. Honestly, there's so many variables to consider, but I think one really important one that we have to call out that no one can argue is that it is very different from traditional sports, and that nobody owns the IP of basketball, for example. That in itself, if you understand all the complications around somebody owning the sport we compete in, and them having more of the control and so forth for like things like server or whatever, like game balance and champions like this, or tournament even format, all of that, just know it's not something that I myself get to decide. Or even if I work with all the team owners, that we're like, yep, this is how LCS is going to run, this is how we're going to do it, this is et cetera, et cetera. It's very hard to build on something that is owned by somebody else,
Yeah.
right? It's an IP. So I will just say that to consider that. It is definitely something we think about all the time, though. Like, all of us want LCS to succeed. I just want to remind everyone, like, we're human. None of us like to read all of these threads and be called dumb team owners or not caring about the league. Like, so much of us have given like a lot of our lives and dedicated so much to esports. Like, we care so much. We want to bring home the trophy. We want to do well. We want to make it out of groups. We don't want to be memed. We laugh at ourselves because what else can we do? But behind all of that, just know like we really care and we are doing our best. It's just very complicated. There's so many things to balance from, again, League of Legends is an IP, and also you have different investors and different owners. So all of us have different priorities as team owners. Ultimately, of course, we want to win, but how we do that is complicated.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Different
that answers
different
some.
people have different budgets, and
Yes,
different people have different, like, oh, we're fine importing a ton of players. Others, I'm sure, less capable of doing that or less interested in doing that for brand reasons. So I totally get it.
correct. Different
Um,
milestones, right, to add to that, and visas. We're in America. It's very hard to get visas as well. Like there's so many things that makes it complicated. That's not necessarily in our direct control.
yeah. Okay, so we could stop talking about North America sucking, and we could now start talking about FlyQuest's year. So, FlyQuest, I think, we've had this conversation in a couple different ways, but I think it's especially pertinent to have that conversation now at the end of this year, as the season is completely wrapped for FlyQuest. The organization has changed dramatically underneath your tenure as leader and operator of the organization. And I'm kind of curious, looking back on this full year, what are your thoughts on the progress the organization has made as a whole, not just competitively, but also as a brand?
That is something I've been wanting to talk about. So I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish at FlyQuest since I took over. I was promoted to CEO end of January, or like right before spring started,
Yeah.
basically. And before that, I was our COO. So a bunch of what I did was more behind the scenes, like executing our vision, creating it, setting a foundation, culture, just operations, right? Day to day stuff. And now in October, I think we've been able to turn a brand around that was known for, honestly, it's cringe level social media, aka Team Stickers, and we have to address it because we have to address problems to solve things, into a recognizable brand that is today. It's, if you compare it to other team organizations, for example, I don't think it's as apparent what they stand for, right? We have so and so team, and what FlyQuest has been able to do is position ourselves directly as a wholesome, good guy brand. Everyone knows that we're going to be doing charitable things. We're always going to be trying our best to do the best or the right thing. And I'm personally very proud of this because honestly, every goal that we started in 2019 for our 2020 plans, we've literally hit everything. In fact, if you told me in 2019 what we've been able to achieve this year, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. I'd be like, yes, hell yes, this is what I want for the brand. It's just in the process right now, it's hard to not want more, right? Hard to not like think, oh my God, instead of just being finalists, I wish we won spring and summer, I wish we made our groups. But ultimately, we're very proud because we took very proactive steps and everything was calculated. Everything was under our 2020 plans and our strategy to help the planet. And we've hit everything. And I think our fans hopefully seem to have acknowledged us very positively. So very, very grateful.
I'm very curious what those. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for the presentations that you make to the ownership group, because I assume there's just a lot of really green numbers and really big bars up to the right over this year as you guys have grown so much.
Yes. So I think, and this goes back to, every organization has different priorities. For us, before we can just become the best team in esports, we had to remove the roadblocks we had, and that was being a cringe level brand. In fact, I think people were indifferent about us. And to be honest, being irrelevant is the scariest thing for me. I'd rather be hated because at least people have an opinion of you and they care enough.
Yeah.
And so that was something I recognized right away. It's like, wow, everything we do, we don't have any kind of polarized opinion. It's not like they love it. It's not like they hate it. Guys, we're coming close to being irrelevant, and that's the worst. So we were able to speak to our ownership and say, hey, the number one thing that I want to work on, and this drives eventually revenue and other KPIs that, of course, are important that we have to hit, is creating brand equity. And so we had the luxury to be able to do that and show them that, hey, this is the first thing we're doing. We're starting internally. We're creating a company vision. We're creating this culture. We're hiring the right people to execute this. And when we build this foundation and have this correct culture, set up operations within every department so every team knows how to run once we do. And then we also obviously pitched our marketing strategy. All of that combined, we were really blessed and had the luxury to be able to do. And so I'm very grateful because now we proved ourselves and said, look, all of those things that we had to wait to, like I joined in 2018, creating that vision and culture. And some of the things we had to balance because we just had a lot of deliverables from previous decisions, aka Team Snickers. In 2020 we were able to show that, and now I think we have built a lot of confidence in our ownership group. They always have, but it's one thing to really prove it and show those numbers, and two, we have a lot of leeway for 2021, so I'm really excited to build upon the success that has always been the goal.
That's really good to hear. One thing I did want to ask about, because as successful as you guys have been on the brand front, and I've seen, everybody talks about the initiatives that you guys have done, save the wild turtles and save all the sea quest and etc. Um, one thing is unfortunate is I feel like you guys make really great content, and a lot of the YouTube videos, some of them do well, but a lot of them I feel like people just kind of like don't catch. And
Yes.
I think in the past, we've talked about this on Hotline League in a general sense, not just related to FlyQuest, but there's always this thing of like, okay, well, if teams can make great stuff, but if they're not winning, people won't catch it. And it's like, okay, look at FlyQuest this year. FlyQuest was winning and making great content, and yet a lot of that stuff I think people just haven't found yet. So I don't know, when you look at that stuff, is it ever disheartening to see like, oh, damn, we made this great video and like people just haven't noticed it yet, and we're winning. When are people going to notice that we're making this stuff?
So I'm definitely excited for when we quote pop off,
Yeah.
and I think while we've found a lot of success, we still have to do so much more. Like, we've set the foundation. I think people are now aware of who we are. Honestly, I see 2020 as like a soft rebrand, if you will. And now people are introduced to FlyQuest. People finally know that everything we do has a purpose, has direction, and understand what Showcase Greatness is, that we have a vision. So everything finally ties back. And this year we successfully messaged that, right? Like, hey guys, here's FlyQuest. We're all about Showcase Greatness. Here's what Showcase Greatness means. And here is our Go Green initiative, and here are the campaigns we're doing to support this. And everything ties back again to Showcase Greatness. This is why everything has purpose. I think that was a first step, and we did that. But I think going forward, we need to do much more, and we need to continue our success. We need to do a lot of cool things. We need to continue building a lot of great products, content, such as Midori or all the other things we're creating. And eventually it'll start picking up. I think we just have a lot of groundwork. And honestly, in some ways, we started from not even zero, like negative, to be honest. So as expected. Of course, I'm always hopeful and like waiting for the day that people see things. The content that did pop off was our Animal Crossing stuff and some of the announcements that we make for SeaQuest, TreeQuest, World Quest. Our jerseys were well received, but I think FlyQuest just has to continue doing it. It's not easy to build a brand. It's not easy to have fans. I mean, you know this because you're working at this every single day. As much as people support us, they're not necessarily clicking the subscription button or following us. So we're finding out ways like, how can we do more? How can we be better? And it's something that, yeah, we're really excited for. Like, we're tryhards here and we accept the challenge. But of course, I am very eagerly waiting for that day that we get more fans, more support.
One channel where I've seen you guys pop off that I don't think people have noticed is your TikTok. Because I've started seeing FlyQuest videos on my TikTok feed, and I'm like, oh, actually they have a very. I haven't seen any other org. They might have stuff, but like I've only seen FlyQuest really on TikTok so far. So that's one area where you guys seem to be finding success.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to, I would say, Adam. A special shout out to him. TikTok is, I mean, I'm kind of addicted. I love it. And it is a new, kind of like turning a new leaf. We have a new approach. Nobody knew who we were before on TikTok. And I think that's why you see that. So hopefully, once FlyQuest does more of this rebrand and proves ourselves, I think people will have more of an open mind and and follow us and support us.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the comments I see is mostly like, I'm starting to respect FlyQuest,
Gotcha.
again, and recognizing that we did have a very cringe level social media and brand. So I get it. And we recognize that we're not starting from zero, we started from negative. So yeah, we're just patiently waiting.
Very good. Well, hey, thank you so much for catching up with me after your Worlds run, and congratulations on this year. I'm excited to see what off season brings. There's always going to be great rumors from all the teams, so I'm eagerly awaiting discussing all the rumors and hype for FlyQuest.
Yes.
is there is there anything you want to say to any of the fans out there who maybe started following FlyQuest this year, or I don't know, watching this interview after your Worlds run?
Yeah, so what I want to say about Worlds is this Worlds, it's literally the best teams in the world who are playing in one spot, so it's great for everyone to learn, and I hope you know that we really appreciate that. Usually MSI is the only one place that you get to have international experience and learn through experience other people's metas, their strategies. And it was very hopeful for us to experience this. And we realized we need to be humble to go up against legendary teams and players like Tess. And so grateful we were able to show our potential, hopefully, to you guys and take one game off. And this being our first time there, we definitely learned a lot. And we're really excited to show our growth, like just going forward. We really take everything to heart, like I promise you, not just from our world experience and competitive, but to the content. We read everything, we're up with you guys, and we take being the underdogs in stride. And again, just thank you for your support.
Well, thank you so much for the interview again, and for everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. When the first settlers were traveling across America, they came right down this road, and they needed supplies. And you know who they relied on? Alienware for those supplies. That's right. They needed to have like a great M15 laptop to ensure that I'm gonna keep doing this while we move out of the way. They needed a great laptop to make sure that they could weather the challenges of travel. I have no idea what this looks like. I don't have Broden with me. And so that's what they did. They actually... Is this car slowing down too much? Is he going to ask me a question about what I'm doing? Okay, no, we're good. They moved on. So my point is, yes, those settlers, they relied on Alienware. And you can rely on Alienware. There's a link in the video description. Thank you to them and DraftBuff for sponsoring my Worlds coverage. And they're doing a giveaway for a bunch of cool stuff. So go check out the giveaway. If you enter, it really helps us out.